delivering performing arts to the community 300 nights a year. I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me this hour is Brian DiSabatino. He's chairman of the Grand Opera House's Capital Campaign. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, Jill. Glad to be here.
The Capital Campaign is underway, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But let's talk a little bit about the Grand itself, because this has been a staple of the community for generations at this point. Yeah,
the Grand Opera House is a very special place in Wilmington and in Delaware and in the region. You know, people don't realize how long it's been around. The Grand Opera House was founded by a group of pioneers in this community in 1871. Folks that when they stood on Market Street really wanted Wilmington to be like what they considered its peers of Philadelphia, New York, Baltimore, and Washington. So the community got together back in 1871. They raised $100,000 and they built the Grand Opera House.
So that's when it was built, but there have been major renovations over the years, including one in the 1970s.
Oh yeah, the Grand has gone through an incredible evolution and maybe even a de-evolution. In the 50s and 60s, the Grand was quiet. The doors were closed and the building began to fall apart. Fall apart to the point where you wouldn't recognize it in its glory today. Uninhabitable, unsafe to go in. And a group of again, pioneers in the early 1970s got together and they put their own money into it. They out of their own pockets, they filled the boilers with oil so it could be heated. They went in there and started renovating. And slowly but surely, the building became the historic landmark that it's become today.
And you're undertaking a capital campaign at this point to ensure that that legacy can continue into the future. What's the purpose of the campaign?
Jill, that's excuse me. That's precisely what we're doing. We call the campaign "Imagine the Grand in the Future," because just like the pioneers in 1871 had a vision, I don't think they really would have understood the implication of their investment. And then the pioneers in the early 1970s that put the Grand back on a footing. Today, we're saying that our job as a community, because we've all benefited from the Grand, is to get the Grand into the hands of the next generation.
And this is a $10 million campaign. You've reached the halfway mark in terms of the fundraising efforts, but you're looking for people to still get involved. There's an endowment component to this as well.
Yeah, there is an endowment. It's a $10 million campaign. We've raised 50%. And about $2 to $3 million we're setting aside for endowment because we want to make sure that once we do get the building, the facility into the hands of the next generation and the organization into the hands of the next generation, we want to make sure that the programming stays in line with what the community wants and what the community needs. And we want to make sure that there are endowment funds to make sure that kids especially are beneficiaries of the Grand.
So let's talk a little bit about some of those children's programs. Yeah. You have a variety of different things happening. Talk to us a little bit about the Children's Theater and how you give many kids in Delaware their first opportunity to see a live performance.
Yeah, this has really evolved beautifully over the past couple of years, if not the last couple of decades. The Summer Children's Theater exposes children to live theater, many of them for the first time, many of them that probably couldn't afford to go to the theater. It's hard to believe that about 6,500 young people from our community, representing somewhere between 60 and 80 different schools, come to the Children's Theater over the summer.
In addition to that, you have programs that tie back into the core curriculum standards for public schools. What do those programs include?
Again, the Grand Opera House is intended to be an asset to the community. So we just don't want to put on live performances. We wanted to reach out in a grassroots way to the educational community. So we actually have arts programming that ties in with core curriculum for arts within our elementary schools. And again, nearly 7,500 students pass through that program.
In addition to those programs, the Grand Opera House is home to the First State Ballet, Opera Delaware, Delaware Symphony, really a variety of different cultural institutions in Delaware. But you bring in big names as well.
Yeah, we do. You know, anyone from Harry Connick Jr. to the Doobie Brothers. But you know, the Grand. You know, some people just come for one performance and they forget that it's an asset for the entire community. This entire community owns the Grand Opera House.
Thanks so much. We've been talking with Brian DiSabatino. I'm Jill Horner.